Wow, what an empowering feminist idea. Focus on your career, focus on your work, build your identity, become financially independent, and freeze your eggs in the meantime. So simple, so modern. Welcome to the Birth Agni podcast, the fire that births us and transforms us. This is a space where women reclaim birth on their own terms, where deep ancient knowing meets primal courage. We talk birth, womanhood, breastfeeding, parenting, and the quiet power of choosing differently, choosing of our own. Come as you are, leave more rooted. I'm Divya Kapoor, a childbirth educator, lactation counselor, trainee traditional midwife, and doula, disintegrating the politics of birth, one story at a time. Let us understand the chronology of this whole conversation. मतलब आप chronology समझिए. You've probably heard this 100 times. If you get pregnant after 35, it is high risk. And right after that comes the twist. Your eggs age as you age, so why not focus on your career and just freeze your eggs? Sounds familiar? Recently, a statement by Upasana Konidela, entrepreneur and vice chairman of CSR at Apollo Hospitals, brought the spotlight right back onto egg freezing in India. Fairly new concept, yet gaining tremendous attention. Not just the procedure itself, but there are big questions around it. Affordability, who it actually helps, and whether we are beginning to treat it like some kind of open for all fertility insurance. And here's the thing, we are not being fully transparent when we tell women just freeze your eggs without talking about the real cost, the side effects, who is actually a suitable candidate, and the success and failure rates of egg freezing. When we skip the nuance, we end up speaking in extremes. And well, to be honest, my younger, more idealistic self would have said, wow, what an empowering feminist idea. Focus on your career, focus on your work, build your identity, become financially independent, and freeze your eggs in the meantime. So simple, so modern. And then there's the other side, the more traditional, often patriarchal voice which runs in our families. अभी बेबी कर लोगे तो संभाल लेंगे हम. If you have the baby now, we will help raise it. अभी यंग हो, अभी कर पाओगे. बाद में जिम्मेदारियां बढ़ जाती हैं. You are young right now. Do it while you can. Later responsibilities increase. Both sides sound completely different. Yet, both are incomplete. Both hide facts. Both make assumptions. And both come from the same underlying belief. As women age, their fertility declines. You are older, you have less energy, you are less healthy, you are less fit to have a baby. We have heard this on loop from our moms, aunties, elders, equating youth with health, with energy, with ease. That's how the idea got cemented. Interestingly, though, this whole younger, more energetic, healthier argument somehow never applies to men, even though women are often married to older men. Funny, right? But when you dig deeper, you will notice something important. Whether it's dressed up as feminism or wrapped in patriarchy, both sides are selling the same core idea, a generalized statement about women's health and age. So, where does the truth lie? How do you make an informed decision for yourself? Well, that's exactly what we are discussing today. You are in the right place, and if you have been enjoying our episodes, don't forget to rate or review us on Spotify or Apple. It really helps more people find this show. You can also support the creation and production of this podcast by making a small donation via our website, birthagni.com. It starts from as low as 150 rupees or $5. You can find it, the link, under the podcast section, and the link is also in the show notes. Every drop of support in this free flowing ocean of information matters and helps keep this content free and accessible to everyone. You are part of this mission with us, and you help build this free support further for other moms like you. That's your contribution. All right, let's get into the truth. I am breaking it down into two big sections for you. Let's begin. Let's talk about the age of a woman's egg. So, before we get into this fascinating research paper I found, honestly, the only one that clearly breaks down how egg aging is actually studied, let's first understand what really happens to your egg during each cycle. So, picture this: we have two ovaries, one on either side of the uterus. And in the menstrual cycle, one of these ovaries releases an egg. That's called ovulation. But before that egg makes its grand exit out of the ovary, where was it? It starts off inside something called an ovarian follicle. Think of the follicle as a tiny home where an immature egg cell lives. It's called an oocyte. Every cycle, under the influence of a beautifully complex mix of hormones, these follicles start to develop or mature, as we say it. Now, here's the cool part. Each cycle, about 20 to 25 of these primary follicles, not one, 20 to 25 of these primary follicles wake up and they begin to grow. As they develop, they form a protective layer around the immature egg cell and start maturing and become what we call secondary follicles. Now, from this batch of developed secondary follicles, only one usually becomes the star of the show. That lucky follicle matures into what's called as Graafian follicle. Basically, the fully prepared, ready for release, mature egg that is released. Once it's ready, the body cues ovulation. The mature egg is released, travels into the fallopian tube from your ovary and heads towards the uterus. And all of this, every tiny step, depends on a super delicate balance of hormones. The healthier your body, the better this hormonal system functions. Now, on to this research paper. It's called The Quality of Human Eggs and its pre-IVF incubation. This study speaks about how quality of an egg is determined. So this would help us understand if we know everything about age and its link with the quality of an egg as a general, very scientific, very authentic way of bracketing women for their own good. So this study says, despite the relatively high success rates of assisted reproductive technologies, ARTs, where you're helped with reproduction and conceiving, those technologies used in infertility treatment, many aspects of the procedures still need improvement. Each step in ART procedures is essential to improving the rate of success in delivering healthy babies. However, an important challenge with modern ARTs is egg quality. Currently, the quality of eggs is assessed by morphological system under microscopic observation. Though this method is deemed largely primitive. Primitive meaning still in its early stages of development, meaning how we figure out the age of the egg Today, that process is still in the early stages of development. Now, think about what we discussed about how the eggs mature and how they're released into the uterus in the previous section. Have that at the back of your mind while you listen to the rest of it. Now, it says a series of molecular, cellular, and morphological alterations occur during oocyte growth and maturation, and those changes influence subsequent fertilization and embryonic development and affect pre and post implantation, meaning the start of pregnancy. Therefore, egg quality is influenced by many factors, with the source of eggs being one of the most important factors. The study says the knowledge surrounding the processes of female reproductive aging remains limited. And in the next line, it goes and says, and actually declares what is not proven already, and uses it as a base for further argument, which is fertility declines sharply around age 35. The previous line in this study that just said that our knowledge around this is limited. And then it goes on to make a very generalized, bold statement to further its argument, which is not logical as such. Fertility declines sharply around the age of 35, corresponding to decline in egg quality, which impacts the reproductive outcomes. Notably, the uterus can adequately support pregnancies even in women in their late 40s. So, uterus is good, indicating that age-related fertility decline is due to poor egg quality rather than implantation failure. So, since we know and believe that fertility decreases after 35, a number brought in by someone, and with that as base, if the uterus is perfectly healthy, even at 40 and above, to hold a pregnancy, it should be the egg quality that is the reason of decline in fertility. Because we believe in the first statement that fertility 100% will decline after 35. Why? If the uterus is absolutely okay, it has to be the egg quality. At the same time, this study also says we do not have effective measures to determine the quality of eggs because they are regulated by a myriad of factors, including environment and health of a woman. It still keeps repeating that fertility does reduce due to the ovarian age, meaning the number of eggs are reduced with age, which makes sense, but the quality is still not clearly determined. So, simply stating one derivative from the other sounds convenient than based in research. Quantity reduction does not equal quality reduction. It further says, however, the primary determinant of reproductive aging is decline in ovarian function, which is the main regulator of this process. Therefore, ovarian aging is classified as the main cause of reproductive aging, which is significantly associated with the changes in the quality and quantity of oocytes, the immature egg. So there's so much we do not know, irrespective of tall claims. Possibilities are, yes, there. But how about we do an observation in women over 35 and see how their pregnancies turn out? In fact, without prior bias, and use that as the groundwork for understanding fertility. How about doing it the other way around? We may have a breakthrough then, but that would not serve IVF, ART, and other medical procedures that quickly seem to solve the issue, yet relying on the quality of the eggs. Unbiased studies are yet to be done. I've linked the study in the description for your own reading and conclusion. Do not believe all that I say. Take it as a perspective. Next section: health of a woman, individualized care. We always talk about the health of the egg or health of the sperm and how they're totally connected to the overall health of the couple. But the funny thing is, we rarely look at couples that way. Today, you'll find so many young couples, 27, 28-year-olds, struggling to conceive. And we are seeing 19-year-old girls being diagnosed with PCOD, PCOS at rates we have never seen before. And here's the kicker: we label every woman above 35 as high risk. But we forget something important. A 35-year-old woman might actually be much healthier than she was at 23, say. I mean, think about it. When I was in my early 20s, I lived on cold drinks, pizzas, burgers. Basically, anything that came in a packet had a logo on it. My hormones were all over the place. My gut was a mess, constantly acidic. I had headaches, frequent, terrible sleep, just chaos. Compare that to a woman a couple of generations ago. Many of them, in their young 20s, did not work outside the home, so their routines were simpler. Home cooked meals, predictable schedules, more rest, overall, a more balanced lifestyle. But today's 20-year-old woman, she's navigating a world that's completely different, new, faster, louder, more demanding. She's pulled into this huge consumerist machine: the parties, the sugary drinks, the pressure, the pace. And then, somewhere along the line, usually after a bit of living, we start relearning the basics. We get better exposure, we start working out, we build muscles, we eat better, and actually start taking care of ourselves. And guess what? Our hormones respond. Insulin resistance drops. Our bodies function better. Even our oocytes, the eggs, do their job more efficiently because the environment inside us is healthier. This makes sense to me. So sometimes the healthiest version of us is not the youngest version, it's the most aware version. However, women today in the medical system are not being seen with this lens or individualized care. And that's the biggest setback to a woman's psychology, trust on herself, and how she's treated in pregnancy or birth. Every woman is being run through filters that are not helpful to her, but an organization operating on general protocols and systems rather. And we have real stories for you on the podcast. So this was about the two sections of how we know so little about egg quality determination, how egg actually matures each cycle. So your current health is the biggest determinant. And then we aren't looking at women as to where they are. We are looking at a number. And then to support the observation part, which I spoke about, we have real stories for you. For your observation of women over 35, even 40, giving birth as first-time mums. You will see for yourself what that looked like. Real stories. So you can either make a note of the episode numbers that I'm about to tell you, or find the link in the show notes of all these episodes. Episode 130, Shilpi's home birth story, meconium, true knot, and a geriatric pregnancy, meaning over 35. Episode 114, Ariel and Nitin's experience. Episode 92, Paneen's home birth story, with a midwife, a public health researcher in the Indian public healthcare system. Episode 105, Rashmi's home birth story. Episode 74, Becca's home birth experience, and many others. This is a handful list. You can go on and listen to many others right here on the podcast. So with this, I leave you to contemplate and arrive at your own understanding. Remember, it's your life, your health, your story, and you got the power. To add, I'd like to say that in all these stories that I shared, all these women over 35, even over 40, had beautiful births, were fit, and their individual case really tells us that possibilities are broader than a generalized high risk for every woman. So there could be a woman in her 20s who could be high risk. There could be a woman in her 40 absolutely fine. The nuance lies in individualized care. So go ahead, listen to those episodes. I'll leave you here. Bye bye, take care. Until I see you in the next episode.
There is a field beyond fear, where the body is empowered to take on labor and birth. To land there, it is crucial to take birth education. To enroll into our unique labor and birth preparation course, reach out to us at www.birthagni.com or scroll through all available prenatal and postnatal preparation classes. Thank you for listening, all in the spirit of birth, womanhood, and freedom. Remember, you got the power. This podcast is about physiological birth and does not offer or claim to provide medical knowledge or diagnosis.